What's up, OTA Nation? Justin here with On Target Airgunner. Today we're going to check out the Huben Dream Valve for the Umarex Notos. Stay tuned. Alright guys, so this video is going to be a little bit different setup. I apologize in advance. It's a very long video, but I wanted to slowly take you through the process of how I installed it, how it comes, and the performance of the Huben Dream Valve for the Notos. I will list chapters in my video. I'll break it up into chapters in the description, and as well as when you're watching, you can fast forward to different chapters. So feel free to fast forward to parts of the videos that you want to watch. It's long, but I think it's good, good footage, good feedback, a good showing of how the Dream Valve works. So stay tuned, and I'll see you at the end for a recap. Alright, so here's the unboxing of the Huben Power regulator for the Umarex Notos. So they call it the Dream Valve 7075. Get some documents here. Got some extra O-rings. They include this just to know if you're getting either a counterfeit one or an authentic. Some more O-rings. Looks like a spring. Repair kit for the regulator. And then here's the regulator. The drop block to attach the bottle to the Notos. It's got some weight to it. So this piece acts as a plenum. And then here's the drop block and regulator with adjustable regulator settings. So it looks like this side. This side is your fill, how much is in your tank. I would have liked to see the option to get this in PSI. And then this side over here is your regulator setting. This is where the bottle will attach. This will come off. This part is what screws onto the gun. Your fill ports. This is where we're going to adjust the regulator. Let's get it on the gun and start testing it out. Alright, so here's a side-by-side comparison of the Huben Power drop block regulator setup for the Umarex Notos. And then this is the setup that my buddy Firewalker does, where they get a block and a fixed pressure regulator attached to the bottle. There are other setups where we can do a block with a built-in adjustable regulator. It's usually about the same length, but the big difference here with the Huben Power one is you have this plenum. So you have extra plenum space, so it should increase the velocity in addition to an adjustable regulator. So you can see this block is definitely bigger than this block. One of the concerns I have is it's a lot longer. You can see it's going to go somewhat like that. So it's where the bottle attaches here, it's now going to attach here and push everything a couple inches this way. We'll have to do it and see how it feels. Right now the gun feels pretty balanced. I don't know if now it's going to be more front heavy. Might not make a difference. You can see here too, I also don't have a lot of clearance up here between the bottle and the moderator, but this one does drop it down a little further than this setup here. So let's get it on and run some numbers. Alright, so let's get with the install of the Huben Notos drop block valve. So the procedure is going to be pretty similar if you have a stock Notos. The first thing, you're going to have to remove your scope, because we're going to have to get to these this screw right here. So this one, we're going to use a 2.5 millimeter Allen wrench. We're going to take out this screw right on top. Set it aside. And then in there, right in here, there's a small little grub screw that is a 2 millimeter Allen wrench. And be gentle with this one, it's easy to strip. So we'll loosen that. There it is. Trying to get it to focus on that. Anyways, so it's a small little grub screw. Set that aside. And I'm going to loosen these. You won't have to do that on a stock Notos, but I have the moderator adapter kit. On a stock one, this would just be able to slide off from there. So let me do that. Alright, so I got these loosened up now. But like I said, on a stock one, you wouldn't have to worry about this. So once you remove the two screws from here, this whole piece, the pick rail, the shroud with the moderator, that'll slide off just like that, exposing the barrel. So we'll set that aside. There is the barrel. That barrel also just pulls and slides out. Might be a good idea to throw some silicone on those O-rings when you put them back. Alright, so on a stock Notos, once you remove that, you'll be left with the stock tube down here, and it'll be just as simple as unscrewing it. On my setup, I have the drop block, but it's going to be the same thing, just unscrew. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Okay, I'm going to set that aside, and you will be left with a gun that looks like this. Now this is the part that's going to attach to the Notos, and you will have these two set screws on either side that you can loosen. I believe it is a 2 millimeter Allen. Yep. So mine have already been loosened, but you loosen both of them, and that will allow the Plenum piece to spin independent from the block. And that's important because when we're going to tighten this onto the gun, it's probably going to be at an angle. So to clock it correctly, we're then going to have to turn the block independent from that to get it right in line with the gun. So should just be a screw on there. I'm going to go ahead and throw some silicone grease onto this O-ring. Anytime you expose your rings, it's a good idea to throw some grease on there. This is what I use, Danco silicone grease. You do not want to use anything that has petroleum or petroleum products in it in a PCP rifle. Can lead to catastrophic explosion. Alright, what I'm trying to do is just get the ring off. There's the ring. I have the grease on my finger. Just going to massage it all over the ring. Be a good time to just inspect it. If it looks all chewed up or starting to crack, then might as well replace it. Mine still looks good. I'm still going to use it. And I'm just going to go over the threads and seat it back down where it goes. So this was the stock O-ring that came with the Notos. And when I had that on here and tightened this all the way down, there was a tiny gap between here and here. And I can see the corner of the O-ring peeking out right here. And to me, that just means that when I pressurize it, the O-ring is going to blow if there's a gap that provides the O-ring to move. I went through the bag of O-rings that Huben Power sent. They had a lot of O-rings that are this size, which is pretty much the same one that the stock Notos had. But I did find one that's this size, and you can see when I set it next to these others, it's just slightly smaller in diameter as far as the thickness of the ring. And I'm wondering if I use this one, if that's going to allow me to snug this up all the way. So we're going to try that before I pressurize it. I would like to see a ring that fits perfectly in this little shoulder area of the valve of the plenum, but even there you can see it sits just above it. So we'll see. Maybe this one will do it though. I already put some grease on here. Let's try that one. So that fits on there good. Don't want to cross thread. Should thread on there easily. There it goes, real easy. Nice. That got snug. That was the ring to use then. So you can see there is no gap in between the gun and the plenum, and that is what we want. Okay, so now I'm going to loosen there and there. Actually, I'm just going to take the screw all the way out. So this is with the 2.0 millimeter Allen. Take that out. Let me get these other rings out of the way. So one there, one here. And off camera, I accidentally nicked the plenum right there. It came clean, but anyways. So I took those grub screws out, and like I was talking about, I can see a small indentation in here where the grub screw will sit in. The corner of the grub screw has a little point, and it sits perfectly in that little indentation. So I'm going to watch as I turn it. That's the next one. That's almost. So that is off angle right there. You can see the angle of the gun, and then the block is a little that way. That's where it's going to have to be. It's just slightly off angle. You can see it straight on. That is perfect right there, but that is not. It's like in between those little cutouts inside. So I don't want to screw that onto there and bend that metal. I don't know how tough that metal is, or bend the grub screw. If I go there, I guess I can live with that little bit of angle difference. I'll email the company and see what they recommend there. But for that, for now, let me go ahead and tighten up these grip screws. You don't need to torque on these too much. Just enough to where they're not going to back themselves out. Okay, there's that. Now I'm going to take the bottle off of this regulator and attach it down here. Anytime you take all this stuff apart, it's a good idea just to check it out, see if there's anything weird going on, any signs of oil contamination or moisture. I'm going to shine a light down in here and see if I can see anything. So here's my bottle. Looks good. I looked at it under some light on the inside. The O-ring up here, I already put some grease, so the bottle should just thread on. All right, that is tight. There is no gap here, no gap here. That is good. Now it's time to get the barrel in. So off camera, I already threw some grease, silicone grease up on these two O-rings. And you want to pay attention to the hole right here. And this is where your grub screw will sit. It's hard to do this and to be mindful of the camera, but I can see through this hole right here where the grub screw indentation is, and you can see back here the barrel is flush with the rest of the gun. All right, and this might move anyways once we throw the shroud on. If it does, we'll just have to move it around and get it lined up again. So I took off my moderator adapter because I want to turn the barrel a little bit just to get it lined up in this hole that I was talking about for the grub screw to sit in. I'm going to pull the bolt back just All right, I see this hole lined up with the grub screw indentation. Before I do anything else, I'm going to put that tiny grub screw back in there, tighten it down so the barrel doesn't move anymore. Okay, I'm going to put my moderator adapter back on. You might not have this feature. Okay, I got my moderator adapter back on, but if it's stock, then it'll just have the stock moderator on. Throw this other screw up here. That's with the 2.5. Okay, so something's not lining up there. There it goes, I feel it going now. Now let's see if the moderator is going to fit with the bottle. And yep, it will. All right, so there's the moderator. It's my Donnie FL Sumo with the bottle, plenty of clearance. Huben Power regulator, drop block with the Plenum. Now let's air it up and see if it holds pressure. And then we'll go over the adjusting of the regulator. So you got to make sure the gun is cocked before you air it up, otherwise all the air will come out. So let's see what the regulator was set at from factory. So I'm going to stop right there just to check, see how things are going. That's 1,000 psi. So this is in megapascals. I'm assuming this is regulator side. I guess we'll have to find out. They're not marked. I wish they were marked. Which one's regulator, which one's fill. $3,000. I'm going to stop there. So this one's at about 12 megapascals, which I have no idea what is in PSI. I'll have to do a conversion on that. And this one is at 20 megapascals. So then, to me, that means that this is the regulator side, and the other one is the fill side. And that might be a good idea to see where it's aired up to, make a note of it, and just leave it alone for a day. Come back to it and see if it's still at that setting. If it's not, then you know you got a leak somewhere. But I'm pretty impatient. I'm just going to start messing with it. All right, so this is how you adjust the regulator with the Huben Dream valve. So the tank is depressurized. There's no air in the regulator. Or, I'm sorry, there's no air in the tank, in the gun, nowhere. This is only necessary if you're going to decrease the regulator pressure, but if you're going to increase, you can have air. That's fine. You just can't go backwards. But I want to start out low and then just increase up. So I went ahead and got all the air out of the gun, out of the tank. So the first thing you're going to do is to remove this nut. You use a 10 millimeter wrench. Take off the nut. Then you can use the Allen wrench that they provide. I got a 3mm Allen wrench, and I'm going to go clockwise to decrease the pressure setting all the way down. So that's where it stops right there. So clockwise is to decrease, counterclockwise is to increase the pressure setting. So that's all the way bottomed out. Now I'm going to loosen it, probably do one full turn, and we'll just see where that starts. So that was counterclockwise, one full turn. Now I will pressurize it and we'll see what that gives us on the regulator. The stock setting was 12 megapascals, which was about 1740 psi. I got it down here. So I'm assuming this is maybe going to give us maybe 800, 1000 on the regulator. I'm not going to shoot it that low, but I just want somewhere to start and then we'll increase from there. Okay, so let's get some test shots downrange. Got the regulator one full turn counterclockwise. That gives me 5 megapascals, which equates to 725 psi. We are shooting the JSB Jumbo Diabolos 15.89. Let's see what kind of grouping we get. $591. $587. $584. So that's putting it right at 12 foot-pounds of energy. So for the UK guys, it need to be 12 feet and under. That's a good way to get it. 585. Also, probably get a ton of shots at this velocity. The grouping's looking pretty good. $585. So that was, I hope that was 5. I counted 5, could be wrong. Let's get one more 5-shot group. $585. $582. $584. $582. All right. 584. So let's go ahead and turn it up to 10 megapascals and see what kind of velocity we get there. So remember, I'm using a 3mm Allen. You can use the Allen that they include. And we're going to turn counterclockwise to increase. Do not decrease while there's pressure in the gun. So I'm going to watch the regulator gauge while I am increasing the regulator pressure. Counterclockwise. All right, here we go. Okay, so that's 10. So what you want to do when you adjust your regulator, dry fire it a couple times, allow the regulator to set. Yep, still at 10, so we'll continue on and start off with the fresh mag. Okay, so 10 megapascals, which equals 1450 psi. Let's see what kind of groups we get and what kind of velocity.
716.
Pretty big jump.
718.
Very nice group.
719. 715.
So these are giving me right about 18 foot-pounds of energy. Plenty for small game.
716.
Lost count. I think that was 5. Let's just do one more. Okay.
716.
I'm pretty satisfied with that group. Hopefully that was 5. It looks tighter than the other group. Still good on air. Let's turn it up. Counterclockwise. We're going to turn it up to 15 megapascals. Now I've already done testing off camera. And for me, about 14 is a sweet spot. It seems that it gets to a certain point where you reach the max velocity attainable with the stock porting on the Notos. All right, so I'm gonna dry fire a few times. Make sure the regulator is set, and it is still at 15. So 15 megapascals equals 2175 psi. Let's get another group. All right, just my luck. The target camera got too hot. So we didn't pick up the target shots with the regulator turned up to 15 megapascals. So we'll go ahead and shoot another group just so you guys can see it. But 15 megapascals equals 2175. Here we go. Take 2.
One.
Broke 800. That's nice.
797. 797.
That group is looking pretty tight. But on the target camera,
97.
so I'm shooting, there's 2 bullseyes. I'm shooting the bottom bullseye. The one right above that was shot when the camera was too hot. So you can see the group there, that was at 15, and this group is also at 15. So yes, this group is a lot better. But the other group right above it, that's what I shot just right before. So I wouldn't say that this group, this type of a group is consistent. Now, let's just go one more time just to see.
797. 797. 798.
'That's a good group again.
798.
I don't know. take back what I said. It was windy, the other shot group that I did off camera. That's nice.
797.
So 22 foot-pounds of energy. That's at 15 megapascals. Let's turn it up to 20 for the last velocity test. So 20 is the max, or you can go on the regulator. Counterclockwise. There's 20. That's the max. Going to dry fire a couple times. Still at 20. Start off with a new mag. Let's see what happens. And of course the wind starts picking up. There's a little bit of wind now. There wasn't wind on this last shot group. Let's just see if the velocity can increase even more. I doubt it, but let's go. 20 megapascals, which is 2,900 psi on the reg. Let's see.
742.
Yeah, see, it gets to a point where it starts to go down. Oh,
741.
that is ugly.
734.
Jeez. I'm only going to shoot one more. That just shows that we cannot go that high on a stock Notos. The air, there's a ton more air coming out, but it's going somewhere.
741.
Somewhere else, making it a lot less efficient, making it shoot ugly. So I'm not even going to shoot anymore after that. So the max velocity that we got out of that test was at 15 megapascals, which was 2175 on the reg. So somewhere in between the 15 and the 20, it just started to take a dive on the velocity. Like I said, I tested it off camera to find my sweet spot that I liked. It was right around 14 megapascals. I'll do a recap and we'll talk about it. But let's go check the target sizes, the grouping size. All right, so here's a look at those targets. It was 25 yards away. These two were the 5 megapascal setting, so the 12 foot-pounds of energy basically. I believe this one was 10. That's a pretty good group. Let me get. So here's the 10 megapascal setting. This is a nickel. Covers with the nickel. I don't know if we can do dime. Let's see. Yep, dime size. So that's pretty good. We stepped it up to 15, but it got really windy and these groups opened up. My camera got too hot, didn't record these groups. So I did it again. This was at 15 megapascal on the reg. The wind died down. You can see super tight group. Same thing up here, really tight group. And then we bumped it up to 20, and then you can see out of control. A lot of the air, too much air for all the valving, the porting work done in the gun with the stock sizes. So very inefficient and very inaccurate with the stock port sizes, like I said, with the 20 megapascal on the rig. So like I was saying, I run mine at 14. 15 is, you can see right there, between 14 and 15 isn't much difference on the pressure setting, but I found that 14 was the best grouping, and you can see still amazing grouping at 15. let's do a recap. All right, so let's do a recap of the Huben Power Dream Notos valve and drop block setup. So as you guys saw in the camera, at 15 megapascal, I got a really tight group at 25 yards. I was getting tight groups anyways before, but it's nice to see that basically we can achieve those results again with the adjustable regulator. Now, off camera, I messed around a little more, and for me, my sweet spot was at 14 megapascal on the reg, which is 20-30 psi. And at that setting, I got an amazing 143 shots before the pressure in the tank was equal to the pressure of the regulator setting. That's a crazy amount of shots, especially when you think with my previous setup, I only got 101 shots. So somehow with this Plenum, with this regulator, the efficiency of the valving, it increased my shot count considerably. Now at that setting, the max velocity I was getting was 766, and the lowest I got was 745. That's a 21 feet per second spread with an average of 755. For me, that's plenty of power. I don't need much more than that. All I'm doing is 25-yard target shooting. For the most part, I use it for small game hunting, and that is more than enough to take out the small game that I hunt. I don't need crazy amount of power out of this little gun. I have other guns for that that I use when I need more power. So for my use, that was the perfect setting for me. Now, do I recommend this? Definitely 100%, without a doubt. If I can say things I don't like about it, the gauges, I wish we had the option to have PSI gauges, but that's not a big deal. These are easily can be swapped out. They sell these gauges on AliExpress with PSI readings instead of megapascals. No big deal. I might just keep it. I know, I'm not going to be messing with my reg all the time. I'm going to set it and use it and just fill the gun and ready to go. Now, if you buy it, you might need to do some calculations beforehand just so you know what these convert to for PSI. Another thing I don't like is they say you have the option to rotate the block and get it in line with the gun. However, I removed these grub screws on the Plenum, and what's underneath are indentations on the Plenum for those grub screws to bite into. I'll use this as a visual aid. So the grub screw sits in there. I backed it all the way out, and there is an indentation all around the Plenum, indentations back to back to back, where the grub screws bite into. So I took them out, I lined up the block with the gun, and what did I find? It was right in the middle of those indentations. So I guess I could have still screwed it in right in the middle, but I didn't feel comfortable with that, especially with 4,500 PSI all in here. I felt it'd be more secured if I just went a little bit the either direction and had it sit down into one of those valleys. Now, from the shooter's perspective, I can't really tell that the block is canted. I mean, if I really studied it, I can see, oh, it's canted, but it's not like it's throwing off the balance of the gun or I'm fighting to keep it straight. No big deal. It might look a little funky to somebody else's perspective. Right there, the gun is lined up with the camera and the block is canted off this way. So the gun is pointing right at the camera, straight up and down, and you can see the block is canted. But like I said, from the shooter's perspective, no big deal, especially when you consider the increased shot count. I thought it might be an issue with the bottle being pushed up forward a little more. My previous setup, the bottle ended right before the moderator, but it feels good. It's nice and balanced right here. So I'm not fighting the gun when I'm shooting or shouldering the gun to keep it up. I actually like this little Plenum space. It feels really good, really natural to just hold the gun right there. Some guys like to hold up here, but my preference is here. Keep everything tight, and that's a good spot to hold and grip onto the gun So anyways, Huben Power, thank you for sending the block for me to test out. I think you guys, for the second gen, just like I said, give us the option to have PSI gauges and try and figure out a different system for that Plenum block adjustment. If you guys do decide to pick one up, I list the link in the description as well as my discount code. Be sure to use my discount code. I would appreciate it. OTA10, that'll save you some money and also help support my channel. If you guys aren't subscribed and you like my content, please subscribe. I definitely appreciate it. I'm gonna do some more penetration tests with the Notos now with the new block setup, as well as maybe some pellet testing. So we'll see which pellets do best at certain velocities. We'll try that out. Anyways, Justin from On Target Airgunner. Thank you for watching. Let's shoot some more.